Always remember, because it seems like there's always an overabundance of would-be construction workers, you know, but it seems like they're always just sitting around. They're really not doing anything. I remember one time in Dallas, I was downtown Dallas. This is when I was being followed real bad. And like they would switch their clothes and their attire and vehicles like every 15, 20 minutes, like clockwork. They had the jackhammer and everything just sitting there, faking like they were working, but were taking notes, watching me, documenting the things in which I were doing. These are agents of evil, folks. These are demonic spirits who have then jumped inside of the vessel, or you're not even dealing with a human vessel anyway. You're dealing with a clone or some type of unholy creature. That's just the reality of the matter. We can't say that these things don't exist, because ever since the 1940s, the whistle had already been blown in regards to cloning and things of that nature. They've been cloning people since the 40s. So this isn't anything that's new under the sun anyway. You know, ultimately this is technology that came from the heavens anyway. But you know, that's the part of the game that you very rarely even hear any informations in regards there too. But yeah, same people that were wearing construction attire, then 20 minutes later they had on a whole electrician outfit, had the vehicle, had the insignia on the vehicle, but wasn't doing any work. And I've got hours and hours of footage validating my claims, ladies and gents. Because, especially during that time period, it was pertinent for me to do that. So I could dispel any notion that I was going insane or I lost my marbles. Because every time an individual has the spiritual eyes to see through the deceptive proportions at hand, they always want to try to play the psychological card. You know, they play that card over and over and over and over again and over again. They overplay that psychological card to that, like, this stage in life, it should pretty much be rendered useless, because there's so much information out there that's already been validated and verified. But yeah, you know, and then after that, then there would be electrician, then like the very next day, the exact same guy was driving a Dallas cop car. It blew my mind, because I was like, these guys, at the time, I was like, man, this got to be some covert agents of some proportion. Just didn't know who they were working for, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day who they're working for, because they're all working for Satan at the end of the day anyway. Samuel, Lucifer, in a nutshell. You know, being controlled through frequencies and everything else, especially if they got that jab. You know, they you know, there's certain places I would go to, they would ask me, or do you hear voices? And like, and this question is a question I'm always getting asked everywhere I was going at the time. Like, why are you asking me, do I hear voices? Like, you know, what is it that you're trying to do behind my back that would insinuate that I'm even hearing voices or anything along those lines? Because they be trying to implement magic, spells, witchcraft, and other things from the dark arts, poisonous concoctions, and obviously their methods weren't working because the Most High has got his protection over them. That's why it's imperative you watch who you be around, who you give your access to. Even some of these so-called day one buddies, a lot of them has been in on nefarious actions against you from the beginning. You know, start looking at the people around you. If they've been experiencing a lot of death around them, a lot of sickness, you know, oftentimes these are judgments for, you know, their attempted wickedness, you know, engaging in such wicked practices. You know, that's what it is. That's why it infuriates me a lot of times, all these so-called chosen one stations, but all they do, they talk about narcissism, but yet while talking about it, they're implementing the very actions that they're sitting here claiming to speak against. Because it's never about giving praise, honor, and worship to the one who created them, the Most High. His name is Ahia. It's never that. It's never about that. It's always and forever. They always talk about how they've got the power. They are on some higher level of extra that gives them the authority to do this, that, and the third, and X, Y, Z. But it's like, y'all act like y'all on such an extended level of anointing. You know, and it just blows my mind, all while never giving adequate worship to the Most High. They don't even teach anything. They don't tell you nothing new of any significance. It's always about how to glorify them within that moment online, all while their pockets are fattening up. Millions of views, immaculate house and everything in the background. These people aren't going through anything. These people, first of all, they're nothing but a distraction to give the mere appearance of going through similar like situations, to reel you in and to keep you off your true path, and to keep you from putting the truth out there in its entirety. Deception and then the derailment. That's all they do. And there's so many of them. And then some, you'll sit here and you'll think they on the right path, but then it's like every single video, it's inevitable. It's the same thing again, over and over again. I remember I asked one of them, did they want to do like do a video together where we bring everything full circle. Now this is an individual that always respond, but the minute I wanted to make it bigger and I was discussing about, you know, making everything bigger so we can accumulate more believers to the Most High, because ultimately that's what it's about, along with praise, honor, and worshiping of Him, which His name is Ahia, the Most High God, creator of all. It was crickets. It was unadulterated crickets after that. And then just to make sure that I knew what it was at that juncture, when they made another video praising themselves, but while praising themselves, see, this is the thing they do, while giving themselves the praise and the honor and worship, they'll be like, not to be bragging or anything. They're always saying that anytime somebody starts out by saying not to brag or anything, these people already think so highly of themselves. Aren't these the very thoughts that were trickling through Samael, Lucifer, Satan's mind? Wasn't these the same thought processes that were accumulated within the mind construct of Lucifer, which led to the war in heaven, and which ultimately led to his eviction from the heavenly realms, though he rules from the other side of the firmament down here. See, that's the secret that a lot of people don't know. You're not going to get that information in your Sunday worship church. You're just not. But, you know, we got to get deep with this. Anytime we're talking about beings who has created a being with the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we're talking about beings who done created the angels, the heavens and the earth, and everything therein. This is something that we can't downplay it. We can't make light of it. This is a major thing. That's why they've came with their sciences and all their other loads of garbage en route to try to get ahead of it. Because once we have the unadulterated truth regarding these things, there are protections in place. It changes the whole construct of everything once you have that knowledge. So knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is everything out here. Without it, destruction is imminent. And I mean that with everything within my inner being. Destruction is imminent. Cause see, I don't make these videos or anything for my satisfaction. I'm doing this to honor the Most High God. I'm doing this because maybe there's someone out there who needs to know the truth about how things really are. And that very truth can bring them to the Most High. That's what it's about. I'm surely not in it for the money, because they're going to do everything in which they can to make it very difficult for me to be able to do anything in that regard. They've been doing it. They've been putting stumbling blocks in the way. And you know, and Christ himself didn't even have a place to lay his head. So, you know, that speaks volumes. That's why when I see these mega churches and I see people and the first thing they want to start preaching or talk about is, oh, your worldly future and finances. Yeah. It's time to segue and dip sit to the left, because I don't got time for that. Because making time for your quote-unquote cares of this world down here, that takes away from time that you could be learning something on the behalf of the Most High, all while giving him the praise, honor, and worship that he deserves. Because he didn't have to create us at all. He could have did anything. I mean, look what kind of power that is, to create us in our complexities, the way our bodies function, the way we take food in and then excrete it out in a different form. That's science for your gluteal region. Straight to the Islam. That's something that, you know what I mean, they can't duplicate that. AI can't go take a number 2. You know, AI can't go excrete any kind of anything from the body. So miss me with the AI nonsense. That's a demonic spirit is attached to that AI. And now we got people, because they're so worried about their quote unquote financial future, not even paying attention to what's going on in the world and where it's headed. And so they ain't never ready to lay that dollar down. You know how many times I've had to leave everything, all my worldly possessions, and start over? Because when it comes down to it, I don't care about no worldly stuff. We all like to have nice things, but I'm not going to idolize those things, because something could come up at any given moment, and then it's time to break camp, trying to accumulate your little worldly possessions that you can reaccumulate. That's all the time it takes to turn into that pillar of salt. You know, when the Most High say it's time to dip, hey, you got to be ready and willing with all the grit, with all the everything, and get on your job and make it shake. There ain't no time to be sitting here, oh, I gotta go do this, or I gotta go do that. Now you destroyed for disobedience. Yeah, he is a forgiving and just God. But what we tend to forget, and we don't want to never focus on, is he is a God of war and he is a God of judgment. Remember, he brought the flood on and watched all the wickedness drown within it. You know, that's just screaming in anybody's ears who decides to listen. He brought the flood on, and he only let who he allowed on into the ark. And then look how they was making fun of Noah back then. Probably calling him conspiracy man. And you can only imagine. Look how they try to demonize people today when they out here extenuating the truth in its rawest, purest form. And people always want to come with this conspiratorial term. A term coined by the three-letter agencies in an attempt to get ahead of the truth, dismiss that truth, and making a person look crazy in the process so that truth is not acknowledged or adhered to in any capacity. That's a fact. And like I said, it's about true history and learning how all these things came into fruition. But people don't want to learn that in this day and age. Anything that sounds foreign to them, they want to dismiss it entirely, all while acting like they're just so busy within their worldly activities. Oh, I ain't got time to do anything. I gotta get this bread. I gotta go do this. I gotta go have sex. I gotta go do this. I gotta go buy all my gold and all my jewelry and all my Michael Jordans. I gotta go do this. None of that stuff is gonna gain you access to the kingdom of heaven. You'll meet your demise and burn. That's why it bothers me to such. But man, it really disturbs me how there's and that's the big difference between where I'm at now than when I was in Dallas. See, Dallas, majority of the population, they keep themselves in shape. I mean, you got what's dubbed senior citizens out there in better shape than people in their 20s. You know? But where I'm at now, you don't have that going on at all. It's like when people reach the age of 25 here, it's like it's OV. And then 30 is looked at like it's ancient for some odd reason. Biblically speaking, we're all babies. Especially compared to when people used to live 800-900 years old, centuries at a time. And then when they did die, they wasn't all shriveled up and sick or bedridden. So, you know, we got to get back to taking care of ourselves and discontinue this attitude like we're just oh so busy. We don't have time of the day to put into taking care of ourselves for longevity reasons. They get so busy chasing this monopoly dollar, and their sickness and everything under the sun done crept in. Now they neutralized, all under the guise of attempting to accumulate that money that was never real in the first place. It is sad and it's pathetic when they could take a few minutes, put all their faith and confidence and trust in the Most High, and you're going to be taken care of better than any of your so-called high life moments chasing that monopoly dollar. Believe you me, that's real. The Most High takes care of me. When people sit up here and be like, want to come around so they can dick measure and brag about where they're working and how much money they got coming in and 401k and this, that, and the third. Hey, what you got going on though? The Most High, following his laws, statutes, and commands, he's taking care of me and taking care of everything with me. Because he's all I need. Because he is what matters. He is who made everything. Without him, I'm nothing. You can't get it done without him. It's like these people that try to run from the Most High, there's nowhere you can run and escape. Sorry to burst your little bubble, but he's everywhere. He's not bound by time and space. So we need to get on board with the Most High, because failure to do so is going to be flamethrower, charbroiled cheeks. And spirit cheeks going to be sizzling over that hot spiritual fire. And that fire isn't just physical, folks. There's a spiritual aspect to that too. So, specifically speaking, it only intensifies an already intense situation. Yeah, it is. And that's what it is. And that's what it's going to be. Yeah, but be mindful of your surroundings out there. Agents of evil are all around. Clones, they're intermixed. You know, they've already got Terminator type stuff going on. When they come out with the movies on things, trust me, they've already got the things rolled out without the masses' acknowledgement. So, you know, like I said, they control them with frequencies and everything else. So, you got to, in all things, ask for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because the deception is only going to intensify as time rolls on. That's it, that's all. It's only going to intensify. I mean, they can do things now. You'll swear up and down something is real. I mean, look at the movies that they make and the way in which they make them. So you better, you can bet your sweet bottom gluteal it's going down. So you gotta stay locked in, keep your head on the swivel and in the ball game. Stop chasing the cares of this life. Ain't no $1 million hitting your bank account unless you sell your soul to Samuel. That's the facts. Because if you haven't accumulated that million yet, go sell your soul to Satan and see how quick that million be in your account then. And I'm not telling you to do it, but what I am saying is, don't do it. That's what I'm saying. Money is not the be all to the end all. With that said, have a blessed evening. Remember, if it's evening, then it was morning. So evening is first, then it's morning. Not morning, then evening. Blessings.